Riding in the curves is not something I get to do a lot of here in North Texas. In fact, I either have to go to the track or ride a few hours south to the Texas Hill Country, or a few hours north and ride up into the Ozarks of Arkansas to find some really decent curvy roads. But I thought it'd be a good idea to continue our series on riding in different scenarios this week and talk about riding in curves and some tips to make it safer and more enjoyable to do so. So no discussion on cornering would be complete without a brief overview of trail braking and slow look press and roll. So let me explain slow look press and roll. That was the technique that was taught by the Motorcycle Safety Foundation for cornering back when I was a riding instructor, and what a lot of riders still use today. For slow look press and roll, as you're approaching a corner, you're going to slow prior to getting to the corner. You're going to look in the direction that you want the motorcycle to go. You're going to press on the hand grip in the direction you want the motorcycle to go. So if I'm turning left, I'm going to press on that left hand grip, and then I'm going to, as I'm looking, then I'm going to roll on the throttle through that corner, giving slight acceleration to the motorcycle through that corner. Slow, look, press, roll. That's the technique that was taught by the MSF back when I was a riding instructor. So there's another technique called trail braking, and all trail braking is, as you approach the corner, you'll do the majority of your slowing as the motorcycle is straight up and down, so prior to the corner, but then you'll maintain a little bit of pressure through that corner as you're going through the corner, and then when you're comfortable with your speed in the direction of the motorcycle, you'll trail off of that brake as you get back on the throttle as the motorcycle straightens back up as you exit through the curve. So the difference being that you're maintaining slight pressure on that front brake all the way through that corner. So which technique is better? Which one do I use? Well, I used slow look press and roll for a lot of years, and I never had any problems with it as long as I didn't go into a corner too quickly. Several years ago, I started practicing with trail braking on a parking lot, and I have since transitioned to it, and I use it the vast majority of the time now. In my opinion, trail braking offers some advantages over slow look press and roll. First of all, it's going to keep the weight on the front tire. So by maintaining a little bit of pressure on that front brake, you're going to keep the forks compressed, and you're going to keep weight on that tire as you're asking that tire to go around through a corner. So those points where you need the most traction from that front tire, you're putting the bike in the best position and keeping that tire planted in the ground by maintaining just very slight pressure on that front brake. But the biggest advantage, in my opinion, is in emergency stops. So using slow look press and roll, if I'm coming through that corner, I do all of my slowing down here, and then I'm looking, pressing, I'm rolling on the throttle. So I'm on the throttle here, and then I see a car, I see something in the road. Well, at that point, I'm all the way off of the brakes, and I'm rolling on the throttle. I have to roll off the throttle and reach for the brakes, and that's going to cause the bike some instability trying to make that quick transition. The advantage of trail braking is I'm already on the brakes, so when I see that vehicle or debris in the roadway, I'm already on the brakes. The forks are already compressed. It's a much quicker transition to apply more brakes if I need to get around it. Or if it's a real emergency and I need to come to a stop, as I'm straightening the motorcycle up, I'm already on the brakes, and it gets the motorcycle to a stop quicker. So I've got other videos on this whole topic of slow look press and roll and trail braking, and do a search on YouTube and you can find a bunch of those. Just search MCrider and trail braking and you'll come across a bunch of videos on that subject. But whichever method you choose, one of the key things to remember is the majority of our braking, either slow look press and roll or even in trail braking, the majority of your hard braking is prior to that corner. It should be done before the curve. So think brakes into the curve, throttle exiting the curve, and at all times being smooth with the brakes and the throttle. And the transition, especially between the brakes and throttle, you want to be smooth with no jerky movements, because that just upsets the balance of the motorcycle. Another key point to remember when riding in curves is that we should always be able to stop in the distance that we can see clearly up the road. That means if you're in a blind curve, you're probably going to ride it slower than you would the same degree of curve that has a wide open view. What about body positioning on a motorcycle? You'll see on track riders and canyon riders who are really getting after it in the curves that they're going to shift their body weight to the inside of the motorcycle or inside of that curve. Well, there are a few advantages to this. It allows the motorcycle to stay a little more upright because you're changing the center of gravity on the motorcycle. This allows the motorcycle to not have to lean as far by shifting your body weight. You're giving more traction to the tires because you're not leaning as far over. And also the suspension works up and down on a motorcycle. So here, the suspension can work pretty effectively. Here, the suspension is not nearly as effectively the further over you lean the motorcycle. The way I ride a motorcycle, though, speed only matters how fast I get through the corner if I'm on a track and not when I'm on a public road. So I see very little use for hanging off the bike at the speeds at which I ride at out on the street. So let's add some hypothetical numbers to this to better understand what I'm talking about. Let's say I approach a corner that has a suggested speed of 35 miles per hour. So that's not the speed limit, but that's the suggested speed for that curve. I can easily take that corner with my skill set at 55 miles per hour on any motorcycle I own, and I'd never have to hang off the motorcycle in order to do that. At those speeds of about 20 miles per hour over the suggested cornering speed, I've got all the lean angle and all the traction I need to complete that curve, whether I'm on my Indian Challenger that offers less lean angle or my Triumph Rocket 3 that's got a lot more lean angle available to it. However, if I tried to take that same corner at 90 miles per hour, then leaning off the motorcycle would offer me some real advantages. But at that speed, you've transitioned from riding like you're on the street to riding like you're on the track. And in my opinion, there's no place for riding on public streets like you're on the track. So keep your speeds within reason. So it's important to ride within the limits of the given environment. On the track, there's only traffic moving in one direction. There's no debris on the road surface. There's no intersections, no tractors moving slowly along the road, no pedestrians, and no cops sitting around the corner with their radar gun pointed at you. So save track speeds for the track and road speeds for the road. And aggressively hanging off the motorcycle is a technique that, in my opinion, is only really needed as the speeds increase. And when the speeds increase, you should be on the track. It's important to understand counter steering. So counter steering real simply, if I'm riding in a straight line, if I press on this right hand grip, motorcycle's going to lean to the right and turn to the right. I press on the left hand grip, motorcycle's going to lean to the left and turn to the left. You can get a good feel for this on a wide open road with no traffic around or a long parking lot. Just get up to about 25, 30 miles per hour and just focus on pressing left or right on the hand grips and feel the motorcycle leaning left and right as you're pushing on those hand grips. Counter steering is huge whenever you get into the curvy roads, and having a good understanding of it in case you get into a curve that's a little faster than you intended, you can push just a little bit harder to get that motorcycle to go through. Also, head and eyes, where you look is huge for cornering. So in general, you want to look towards the exit or where you want the motorcycle to go. So as I'm approaching that corner, I'm looking towards the exit of that corner, and I've scanned the road. So as I'm approaching that corner, I've scanned through the road. Now my head and eyes are over here. If I was not able to clearly see all of the road between here and where I want the motorcycle to be, I may, with my eyes, cheat a little bit and glance back at the road, but I'm always going to keep my head and eyes pointed. I'm going to point my nose in the direction I want the motorcycle to go, but I may occasionally cheat with my eyes back into the road to make sure there's no debris or anything in there. Kind of like a yo-yo. As you use a yo-yo, it goes down. You get your eyes over here, you yo-yo down, look for debris. Nope, nothing there. I'm back looking where I want the motorcycle to go. Head and eyes are also hugely important to avoid target fixation. So a lot of times there's something on the side of the road. So if there's a guardrail, part of the way through the curve, or a big tree right there, if you're looking at that, that's where the motorcycle's going to go. You got to turn your head and eyes and look where you want the motorcycle to be rather than where it's pointed at. It's also important to ride relaxed. Tension in curves decreases the fun, and it forces you to fight against the motorcycle as you're trying to get through the corners. So start at the top and relax your way down. So what I mean by that, relax your neck. You don't want tension in your neck. You want to be able to freely look left and right. You want your shoulders relaxed. If you're riding with a lot of tension in your shoulders, it's going to make you tired sooner, and that translates into the handlebars and ultimately into the handling of the motorcycle. You want your arms, elbows, and forearms relaxed, so they're not straight out and locked in. You've got some bend in your arms. You should be able to flap your arms like a chicken because you've got a little bit of bend in your arm and your arms are relaxed. You want your hands relaxed on the grips. You're not grabbing hold of them. In fact, you're not holding on to the motorcycle with the hand grips at all. Your hands are just on the grips with, slight pressure and enough to allow you to input control into the handlebars of the motorcycle. So your upper torso stays relaxed. Your neck, shoulders, arms, elbows, hands are all relaxed. If you need to hold on to the motorcycle, you can hold on to the tank with your knees. So bring your knees in a little bit underneath the tank. That's going to help you be more planted or feel more planted on the motorcycle. When it comes to your feet, whether you've got floorboards or pegs, last thing you want to do on the curves is have your feet hanging off of the floorboards or the pegs of the motorcycle, or even pointed out. A lot of riders will point their toes out. The reason for that is you're going through the curves, and as you get better at going through the curves, you're going to lean the motorcycle over, and you may get to the point where hard parts would touch the ground. If your toe is hanging out over that hard part, your toe is going to be the first thing that hits the ground. So your feet should be inside on the floorboards or up and on the balls of your feet on pegs and away from the road, so that the first thing that hits the ground is the pegs or the floorboards. And I can't speak from experience about hitting your feet on the ground going through corners, and it will get your attention when it does so. And depending on the type of shoe you got, the pavement may actually grab your foot and pull it off of the peg. Don't ask me how I know that one either. So I hope you found these tips helpful. I would love to hear some of your tips or ideas in the comments below, so leave a comment below. Also, if you're not a member or if you'd like to order a field guide, I will have links down in the description. I've got great exercises in here that will help you get better at cornering. There's a Road Speed 8 exercise that was written by one of the members of MCrider that is an excellent resource if you want to practice your cornering on a parking lot. It's a great skill to develop, and all the details are in here or in the digital version for members on mcrider.com/member. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. There's a whole lot more to MCrider than just the weekly videos. Go to mcrider.com/member. You'll get instant access to the forums and the field guide. You get ad-free MCrider videos and a whole lot more. Go to mcrider.com/member for all the details.